So guys, welcome to the part 2 of this webinar. In the last part, before network interrupted, I was talking about the importance of having a high score in the Ielts test. Now, I said that if you're looking at relocating to Canada through the Canadian Express entry, you would need to accumulate points from different factors, from your age, your work experience, your education, and then your English level, right? And that's where the IELTS comes into play. Now, depending on the score that you get in your IELTS test, it would give you a certain number of points. So achieving a high score, such as having at least 8.0 in all 4 parts or 7.5 upwards, would give you a certain level. That is the highest level of the classification. And the highest level would be giving you the highest points in the aspect of your English or language requirements, right? So it's important for you to get a high score in the test. Other factors are already they're already subjective to a certain. For instance, every single year you get older, and the older you get, the lower points you'll be getting in your express entry profile. Now you already have a certain level of education. If you want to add more points to that, you need to go back to school, study do a certain program, go for a particular degree or course, and that will cost you time and money. Mind you, while you're trying to do that, spending money and spending time to get a degree, you are getting older. Hence, your age factor is acting against you. So you just realize that IELTS is something that you can bend, you can make to work in your favor. So this is something that you need to put your mind to, getting a high score right from the beginning, so that at the very end of the day, it will be helping you in your express entry profile. Aside from that, if you are looking to go for a course abroad, maybe a postgraduate or undergraduate course, the school would most time give you a requirement. They would say you are to have at least 7.0 in 4 parts of the test, or at least 6.5. Now you realize that the requirement in the academic aspect of the test is much lower than the general aspect of the test. So for those doing the academics, you'd see that even when they get a score such as 7.0, 6.5, it's still good to go. It's still a good one for them, because most times the requirements that schools give is mostly for you to have a minimum of, I've heard of schools give a minimum of 5.5 or 6.5. But there's something interesting about the academic test. I do know that the reading and the writing part one, the reading part 1 of the academic test and the reading parts are quite different and a little bit more technical than the general IELTS test. So it's easier to achieve a higher score in the general IELTS test than in the academic test. Now, guys, all these things have strategies, or both of them have things that you need to do. There's certain information that you need to work with, and there are strategies that you need to apply to get the required scores, and that's what we're here to talk about. Now, back to the things that you need to do. Remember, we talked about getting a coach, working with a timetable, having your valid passport, your international passport ready. Now, we're going to talk about the 4 parts of the test. The first part of the test is the listening. Now, I'm going to talk about them based on the very first one that you're going to write on your test day. After you've done your speaking test, which will be on a separate day, of course, they'll send you an email to notify you on the particular day that you write your speaking test. The main test day would be the day on which you'd write the listening. You'd write the listening, the reading, and then the writing part of the test. The listening part of the test, sorry about that. The listening part of the test takes 40 minutes, basically. You'll be given an audio, a recorded, an earpiece to work with, and then the question booklet and your answer sheets. So you'll be listening to a recording and then reading your question booklet and then writing your answers on your question booklet also. It happens fast. It won't be paused. The recording won't be paused. So it's going to start for a length of 30 minutes. You're going to be listening to conversations, and you're required to put down your answers on the question booklet at the same time. Now, at the end of that 30 minutes or 28 minutes or thereabouts, you are now required to transfer your answers to the answer booklet. That's the listening part of the test. After that, you begin maybe a short break of maybe an average of 10 minutes or so. Then you move on to the reading part of the test, which will last 1 hour. 1 hour, and you have to answer 40 questions. Now, the difference between these two tests is that for the listening test, you're already timed in a way. The recording is already giving you a sense of time frame to work with, right? Once the recording gets to the last question, it's going to stop, right? But for the reading, it's tricky in that you would have 1 hour and you're not allowed to go in there with a timepiece. So you're only working with what the examiners tell you. So for instance, they'll tell you have 10 minutes left. And that is when you know that you actually have 10 minutes left. So you need to be conscious of your time, especially in the reading test. You need to be conscious of your time. You shouldn't be carried away with particular questions. For instance, having questions that are tricky or difficult, and then you wasting so much time on those particular ones. I'd encourage you, right from when you're practicing, get used to timing yourself. That is, put a timer, set an alarm, take note of when you've started, and then set an alarm for 1 hour. What are you trying to do? You're trying to get used to answering 40 reading questions in 1 hour, because I get this a lot. Many candidates who didn't work with this while they were preparing for the exam fell into the trap of not finishing their reading tests. Yes, I've had many people that said they did not finish their reading. Do you understand? So right from when you're practicing, you need to work with time. Now, I just remembered something about the listening. For the listening test, I would encourage you, when you start practicing your listening test rather, I would encourage you not to pause them or replay when you are practicing. Act as if you are in the exam. Because on the test day, nobody will pause anything for you. Nobody will replay it. You won't be like, okay, excuse me, please, can you pause it? Can you replay so I can hear that again? No. It will play that way from the very beginning to the very end. So while you're practicing, you need to do that. Be true to yourself. Do not rewind and do not replay while you are practicing your listening test. These things will help you. Now, let's move back to reading. There's a particular type of question that happens to be difficult in the reading test, and that is the yes, no, or not given type of question, or it could come in the form of true, false, not given. A lot of people struggle with this type of questions. In our classes, we teach people how to tackle this type of questions. We give you strategies on how to answer questions in the listening and reading part of the test. All these things, I cannot go deep into all these things in this video. This is a webinar, right? This is a webinar, so I wouldn't want to get it to over 2 hours or so. I just want to hit on the main points. Now for the writing part of the test. Remember, I told you start your listening, the next to be the reading, and then the third one would be your writing test. The writing test will also be for 1 hour. But in this case, it is split into 2 tasks. There's the task 1 and the task 2. If you're writing the academic test, the first task will be for you to write a report, to report on some information given to you. Now the information could be presented in a bar chart, a line chart, it could be a pie chart, it could be a table, it could be a diagram, it could be a process. You could be asked to describe a process. You could be asked to describe a map. You could be given a map of a place, and then you'll be asked to describe, to report the information, what you can see there. That's for the academic part 1. Now, if you're writing the journal test, your writing task 1 would be to write a letter. Your letter could be a semi-formal letter, an informal letter, or a formal letter. Now, they will not indicate this in the question booklet. They won't indicate this. But if you go through our classes, we'll open your eyes, we'll tell you how to identify a formal, semi-formal, and informal letter. Guys, forget about what you learned in your secondary school or university or whatever. Just forget about that. This is the Ielts, and there are certain things that you need to know. There are ways to identify the type of letters, and there are particular openings and closings that you need to know. This is not what you know in school, what you learned in school. There's a way to writing this type of letters, writing the Ielts type of letters. And when you do our classes, we'll show you how to do these things. Now, for the writing task 2, it is the same for both the or an academic test writer, right? They're all the same. You are required to write an essay, and these essays could come in different types. There are different types of essays. The common thing about these essays is that you're required to write them in 40 minutes, right? And you're given you have to write a minimum of 250 words. In our class, we'll tell you how to write these essays. We'll tell you the structure to work with, the formula to achieving an average of 250 words, and how to train yourself to complete an essay within 40 minutes. The same applies to the first task in your writing. We'll teach you how to write letters within 20 minutes. We'll also teach you how to write reports. Now, the academic reports, there are many types. There are so many, but when we expose you, give you the foundation on how to answer them, you see that they are very easy. But if you just want to expose yourself to information online, on the net, it will be a long journey and a confusing one for you. So we're here to make the whole journey easier and straightforward for you. Now, for the first part of the writing, that's the task 1, you be required to write, as I said earlier, 20 minutes, and then you have to write a minimum of 150 words. For my students, I like to start teaching them the writing task 1 before I move on to the writing. Let me just begin again, because I don't know what I said earlier. I like to teach them the essay first. That's the task 2. I like to begin the classes with that one, because I have come to discover that if you have a good grasp of how to write your essays, writing a report or letter would be a walk in the park for you. It will be so easy for you. That is how I like to teach my students. Now, this is basically all you'll be doing on your test day, the main test day. You'll be writing these 3 parts of the test in one sitting, basically. Now, I told you that the speaking aspect of the test would be on, maybe it could be like 3 to 4 days before your main test day, or it could even be a day before or 2 days before. It depends. It could be a whole week before your main test day. Your speaking test would happen very fast. In a period of 15 minutes, even 10 minutes, you're done with your speaking test. Now, it looks so short, but a lot can happen in that short period of time. And what our classes do, what we actually do is that we show you the things that you can work with. Guys, as long as you've gone to school, you're a Nigerian, you can communicate in English, you can type, you can read in English, then you can learn how to ace all 4 parts of the test in your first sitting. And this webinar will not be enough, right, to start breaking down every single part of the test. But let me go through my notes and see if there are particular things I wrote about them. Now, okay, general things that you can do to prepare for this test. Remember, I said that it's advisable to begin your preparations for this test in 3 months, like to work with a 3 months time frame. Now, what you'll be doing within 3 months is that you'll be exposing yourself, you'll be reading books, you'll be following news channels such as BBC, CNN. You'll be spending every single day reading news articles, reading books, exposing yourself to content that would give you good English on a daily basis. I would discourage you or dissuade you from spending your time on social media or watching comedy skits or just exposing yourself to bad, wrong grammar and all that. You would want to avoid all that. If you are the type that spends that for most parts of your daily life, you get to speak your native language, I'll encourage you to speak more English in this time, the time before your test day. Read books, follow news channel, watch the news, read news articles, look up new words. And when you look up new words on online, also check for their pronunciation. Like tap on those icons, those symbols that shows the audio. Tap on them to listen to their pronunciations. Then there are particular channels that I usually tell my students to listen to on a daily basis, like when they're on the go, when they're doing house chores, when they're working, when they're at their workplaces, doing their business, when they're on the road or something. I always encourage them to listen to these things, to listen to them. Now, if you happen to be my student or if you decide to join our community, what we are trying to do, we are trying to build a community where we just put our resources, we'll put all this relevant information I've been talking about. We have recorded videos which will teach you, guide you step by step how to write reports for your writing task 1 if you are doing the academic test. We also have recorded videos that will teach you how to write these essays, how to write out letters. I am the one that recorded those videos, so you're not listening to any other person. These are the things I did to excel in that test, to achieve an 8.0, and what I've been teaching many people over the years from 2019 to this very time. These are the things that I've done. So I have recorded them in videos to make it easier, because in order to reach many people and to avoid burning out, as in being stressed out on my part, do you understand? I had to record these videos so I'll be able to reach more people, right? So we've done all these things. And remember, I talked about relevant practice materials. I am going to be stocking up, supplying the community, yes, consistently with these materials. So we already have the ones on ground, but it will be a continuous, as long as you enter that community, as long as you're now part of our community, you always have access to these materials. So just imagine absorbing yourself with all these materials. It becomes easier. The preparation process becomes easier for you and less stressful, guys. Now, these are basically the things I can talk about here, right? There's a lot of time constraint on my part. I don't want this video to become too long. So what we're going to be doing in this month of October and the month of November. November is more like an anniversary month for me, because I began the Ielts and Pipers NG page in November 2019, and 1st of November, that is a month from now, a month from now happens to be my birthday. Sorry guys, my kids just stepped into this place. I would need to take them out of this place now. Need to pause myself. So when you join our community, I said that a month from now is going to be my birthday, and then the month of October is like it's Independence Day today in Nigeria. So I decided to start this whole idea of doing discounts. I just want to create this community where we can always have access to resources that would help us achieve a high score in Ielts test. That is making it so easy for many people to pass their test in their first attempt, right? So now, guys, usually my fee for doing a personal class has been pegged, I think, mid-year 2022. It was fixed at $70, right? So as the dollar goes up, the price keeps changing. And that is no fault of ours because the Naira has seriously been devalued. Do you understand? Now, we decided to do like a 50% discount from this month of October down to November. Guys, we are opening up our community for many more people to join us, to have access to these materials and to enjoy the support that they need. So right now, instead of joining us at the rate of $70, we're going to be bringing it to the level of half that price. That is $75 and $35. Yes, $35. Now, if you're to do a rough estimate of that, in this present day, it should be around 26,000 naira or so. But if you have watched this video to this point in time, if you've been part of this webinar to this point in time, we are opening the doors for every single person that is going to be willing to join our community from this first day of October to the whole of November. You can join our community at the rate of 20,000 naira only, guys, and you have access to our premium videos teaching you how to write the writing aspect of the test, giving you guide on how to do the listening, the reading part of the test. And also, we are going to be doing speaking classes. We are going to be doing speaking classes. That's giving you, practicing with you, basically. That's what we're going to be doing. So imagine you having an opportunity to like practice with me, would ask you questions, and then would guide you on how to answer the speaking test questions. So guys, it is only 20,000 naira for the month of November and December to join our community to get the full details to every single thing we've talked about today, because we cannot go through every single one of them in this webinar. So we'll be calling it, we'll be closing this webinar at this point in time. So I hope you enjoyed a whole lot from what we've talked about. I would want you to like type in the comment section what you have learned, how this whole webinar what it has done for you. So type in the comment section, guys. What have you learned? What have you learned? What will you be doing? Are you joining the community? I'm going to be dropping information on how you can join details. I'm going to be dropping the details in the group on how you can sign up. Once you sign up, we'll be taking you to the closed community where you'll be having access to all the materials we talked about. So guys, it's going to be the end of this webinar, and I'm signing out from here. My kids are like disturb me guys right now, and they're the boss for now, so I need to attend to them. So guys, kindly type what you learned. What did you learn? What did you learn? What are you grateful for? Go to the group, the Telegram channel, and type what you have learned. What you have learned from the webinar, and if it was valuable for you. So I really like to get your feedback. You understand? Because your feedback would encourage us to even do more, right? We would know if we're on the right track, if what we're doing is meaningful to those that have joined, and that for many others that have joined the Telegram channel. Guys, is this valuable to you? Did you get valuable information? Was it helpful? So type it in the comment section and in the Telegram channel, guys. Thank you so much. And I'm wishing every single one of us a wonderful October, November, and then I'm also believing the best for you in your journey to having a better future, right? So, bye-bye.